It's Jamie Gordon on Bfbs, and we're going to be joined imminently by Ian Gillan. Although I did want to say something, because I've met Ian Gillan twice before. 10 years ago, I drank the majority of his Beck's beer, I seem to remember, backstage at a gig at the Deutschlandhalle in Berlin. And that was actually the first gig I ever went to, so I lost my gig virginity to Deep Purple 10 years ago. And then 4-ish years later, we met again in Cyprus. Ian was on a solo tour and playing in a basketball arena, to my recollection. And I think it's the first time our studios in Episcopian Cyprus ever saw a stretch limo outside it. So, Ian Gillan, welcome to the programme. Thanks for joining us.
How you doing, Jamie? Great to be here.
It's been a while since we last spoke, and I do remember, I hate to bring this up, but I do remember I asked you whether you would ever get back with Deep Purple, because at the time you weren't. You said no, categorically no, and yet here we are.
Yeah,
so what's the score?
I seem to remember also at one time saying I'd rather slit my throat than ever be with that band again. But, you know, time great healer, and I think what happened really, it's like a family. You know, you break up and there's something deeply rooted inside, something spiritual that you can't get away from. And there was a lot of pressure. I'd been fired from the band at that point, and I was working on my own stuff again and building a new solo career. And I think the record company aren't going to release the next Purple album unless I was on it, and there was all kinds of stuff, and my manager and my family sat me down and gave me a good talking to and said, well, you know, well, don't get riled up and don't get angry, don't hit anyone, and there you go. And the real problem, as far as I could see, was that Richie didn't want me back in the band, and I think he and I had gone as far as we could. He wanted to be the leader of the band, and I didn't want to be the leader of the band, but I didn't want him to be. It all sounds very childish, but I think he'd knocked the stuffing out of the kind of camaraderie that existed. I mean, we all used to travel together in a van. I mean, we got back a long way, you know. So Richie disappeared, and then we got Satriani in for a year, which was wonderful, repaired a lot of the damage, and then we got Steve Morse, and he's been with us for 4.5 years now, and as I say, the family atmosphere is back, the danger's back, the confidence is back, and also we're relaxed, I think, and when you're relaxed you do your best work.
I mean, apart from Richie, obviously, the lineup is well, the classic lineup. So has age sort of helped in the way that you all get together and work together now? Well,
I think age is a double-edged sword, really. It's good in a sense that you know, all the elements of professionalism, all the elements of work, the work ethos and everything else are there, and at the same time, well, some people it's a little harder to get out of bed in the morning, you know. But I've never known Purple work so intensively and so enjoyably. The last tour was 15 months. That was the Perpendicular tour. That was after 6 months together in a studio. And then 6 together in the studio to do Abandon, our current album. And this tour kicked off in Istanbul in June and doesn't finish until June '99, so it's a year tour, and we're loving it. I mean, it's just, I mean, a great atmosphere. And the improvisation, and people are playing at their peak again, and I think, you know, everyone's at the apex of their musical talent, and when you get all that combined with a good spirit, I think it's as good as it gets.
The album's been sort of kicking around our office for quite a period of time now, and everybody I've talked to has said that it's excellent. I mean, it's real good old Deep Purple, and a lot of blues, a lot of balls, if you like. And was that how it was when it was put together? Did you have a feeling it was just about coming right?
Well, I think so. You know, we never used to think about music. We were never very commercially inclined. We haven't got a clue what makes a radio play record, for example. We just, the main motivation for making a record is to provide new material for the next tour, and if we and then record it incidentally. And we were beginning to get the hang of it now, and I think what happens is that we're beginning to rediscover ourselves, and I think if all you have to do is just analyze where everyone's come from. I mean, John Lord, we're very broadly based with our influences, and I mean, John from the Royal College of Music and his classical stuff, as well as being a great Hammond player and inspired by Jimmy Smith. Ian Pace with his Buddy Rich School of Music and the big bands and swing and all that stuff, and Roger the Eternal Hippie coming from a folk, and Bob Dylan and all that sort of thing. Me and my rock and roll and rhythm and blues and stuff like that. And Steve, of course, now, Steve Morse from the Dixie Dregs, brings in that great Southern American guitar feel with the bluegrass and the jazz and everything. I mean, Steve was voted #1 guitar player in the States 5 years on the trot. And they asked him to step aside on the 6th year, and Joe Satriani won it.
He's in good company.
He certainly is. I mean, I couldn't say anything else, could I? But I genuinely mean that this is as good a time as we've ever had. It reminds me of 69, 70. It's very challenging. But the rewards are there in the music.
Well, I have to say, I think it does come through on this album, and I think we'll take a break now and play a track from it. This is Any Fool Know That. Deep Purple, Any Fool Know That from the Abandon album. Jamie Gordon on Bfbs. Ian Gillan is my guest on the line to London at the moment. And, well, the band's 30 years old this month.
Happy birthday
to you. Now, I suppose a fairly obvious question. Does it seem like 30 years, or is it a whistled by?
It seems like 60 years. No. You know, there have been dark moments. You know, there's a natural human instinct, I think, to find the comfort zone. You've got to take the scenic route every now and again and get off of that rock and roll highway. And all of the bad things that have ever happened in my life seem to be very much diminished. I mean, I never dwell on them particularly. I always dwell on it. When you reminisce, you go, oh, do you remember that? Wasn't that great? And I've never heard a group of people saying, do you remember that? Oh, wasn't that awful when that happened? You know, not as a matter of habit anyway.
No.
You know, generally remember the good things. And so I suppose the good times being so few and far between, not really. It has fled by. I mean, it's just sped by. Did I say fled by? Anyway, it's gone by. It seems like very quickly. And I suppose the reason I say that is because it seems as if it was yesterday that we were recording Speed King and playing at the Albert Hall and with the concerto for group and orchestra and Jesus Christ Superstar and all that stuff. It seems very recent, but I don't know. It's challenging now because there's a new element in the face. So I suppose we're more focused on our present day. I'll tell you what's weird right now is that you know, there's quite a few cover bands and people doing Deep Purple songs, and after going through the years of, you know, the insults and everything else, we've entered into an era of respectability, which I'm quite unsettled with. I'm finding it difficult because, especially when the rebel's still screaming in your heart, you know.
And people start describing you as veteran, don't they?
I know. And I've still got all my teeth and not a wrinkle. And I'm physically active and I feel, you know, very healthy and strong, and it's an exciting time. And as I say, the rebel's still in my heart, and I still get really strong feelings about things I want to write about. Lyrically, we're more prolific. Oh, God. Prolific. It's all right. I'll tell you what it is. I'm stuck in a, what do you call it? One of them eucalyptus things. And I'm trying to keep it in my teeth, and that's why I'm screwing all my words.
Is that for the benefit of the voice?
I'm trying. No, well, it's actually for the benefit of my, from all the people sitting around me. I had to get up very early this morning, and
I was going to say, you're on the Big Breakfast, weren't you?
yes.
And I have to say, I'm completely envious about any man who gets to sit next to Denise Van Outen for at least an hour.
Yeah, well, my daughter actually sat next to her on a plane coming back from the Caribbean, and I didn't know what she was talking about. She said, oh, she's a really nice lady. And wow. And we were at an awards thing 2 or 3 months ago, and she recognised Grace, my daughter, and she came across and said hello to her. She's a very nice lady.
She is lovely, completely stunning as well. But now, something I was going to say was the 30th anniversary album, the very best of, comes out on EMI, which is pretty much, you know, the way it used to be, wasn't it?
Yes.
So are you pleased that EMI have got you back, or did they take you back, or did you ask them to, you know, to go to them?
I don't know. I think it's one of those gravitational things. I don't know what goes on behind the scenes, but there have been sort of rocky situations with record companies over the years, you know, and the record industry is not what it used to be. However, there's a guy called Helmut Fest who was retiring from running EMI in Germany, And he was I was talking to him at his retirement party, and he was basically the T-boy, not the T-boy, sort of assistant A&R man or something like that in Cologne, when we first signed with EMI for Deep Purple in rock. And he's been a fan ever since, and he ended up being the president and or the CEO or whatever. And before he sort of retired or went to look after a minor territory and handed over the reins, he wanted to. His last ambition was to re-sign Deep Purple to EMI, and so it's quite a romantic story. And in fact, although we're with EMI, we're not with EMI in London. We're signed with EMI in Germany, and for all the world except Japan and the United States. And I'm very glad I am too, because they've got a great team and they're working their nuts off.
So it's a story with a happy ending.
It's well, it is. Yeah, it's not over yet, mind you.
Okay, listen, I would just want to take another quick break, and we'll play some more from the album, and then just round it off very soon. I wanted to play this. This is "Don't Make Me Happy." From Deep Purple's album Abandon, that's "Don't Make Me Happy." Ian Gillan is on the line with us at the moment. Just to round off, do you ever think about what's in the future, or do you tend to live from day to day in terms of your career with Deep Purple? Do you envisage yourself sort of sitting down with slippers and a pipe one day?
Well, thanks a lot, mate.
Not that you should, but...
I often have, actually. No, I don't think anything's changed. I never really had any ambition. I just love what I'm doing. Take things as I find them. I think somebody the other day said, "Are you going to rock till you drop?" And I said, well, no, I have got a certain amount of dignity. I think I'll just rock till I roll.
You've got a huge fan base right around the world. Is that more or less the thing that's kept the band going over the 30 years?
Undoubtedly, yeah. Without any doubt at all. The fans have been absolutely sensational. They've given us everything, even through the hard times. They've been incredibly loyal. They're not fickle at all, and that's one of the great things about... I think being with this band, and also of a lot of other bands of that era, their fans have been a tower of strength. And as I say, you can always turn around and they say, never mind, you know, it'll be all right, without actually saying it. But I get the most incredible mailbag, and they're just right behind you from all over the world. It's fabulous. In fact, I met, about the time I saw you, I don't know when it was in Cyprus, but just around that time, just before the Berlin Wall came down, I was in East Germany, and I met a guy who'd been in prison for 10 years for being caught in possession of a Deep Purple record.
Good grief.
And, of course, the only communication between East and West in those days, really, for people of our leaning, was through Radio Free Europe. And so that songs like Child in Time meant an awful lot to those people. They realised there was somebody out there that was thinking along the same lines, and that it gave them hope for the future. And I think those are the sort of things way beyond the concept, I think, of your average, and yourself excluded, of course, with the average media person, who tend to see this whole thing as a very disposable, sort of quick turnover type of thing. Whereas in actual fact, although we work on lyrics, and the most important thing is the sound of the words, obviously in the first instance, but there's an awful lot of our hearts goes into this, and I think that's understood by the fans. They know that we're throwing our whole spirit and soul into this. It's not a superficial thing. It's our life. We've dedicated our lives to it, and you know, I'm not making a big deal out of it, but by way of explanation to why the fans, I think, have been so loyal, because they know we mean it.
I mean, certainly with my experience, you tend to make it an experience to go and see. It's a huge spectacle. Admittedly, it was a while ago, but I can't at all.
Well, if you can get along to any of the shows at Wembley or Birmingham or any of the shows around Europe, we're in Germany and all over the place. I mean, I'll get you the itinerary. You can have a look at it.
Definitely.
Take your pick.
Well, in front of me, obviously, we've got the London gig at Wembley Arena on the Wednesday, the 14th of October. Birmingham on the 15th at the NEC, at the Clyde Auditorium in Glasgow on the 17th, and not the 18th. You're in Manchester at Nirex Arena.
And we're doing Dusseldorf and Essen and the whole, Iberian Peninsula, whatever.
Fantastic. Listen, thanks very much for your time tonight.
Mate.
Really appreciated.
Great talking to you again.
Yep, and well, let's not leave it too long next time, and good luck with the Best Of collection and of course with the tour. Ian Gillan, thank you.
Cheers, matey.
Cheers.